Welcome, and thank you for joining us for today's DealerOn webinar, 6 Steps to Increase Your Fixed Ops CSI. My name is Eliana Raggio, and I'll be your moderator today. And today's webinar is being presented by DealerOn. For anyone who isn't familiar with DealerOn, we're an award-winning website development company and digital agency, best known for our amazing SEO, the best customer service, and the highest converting website designs in the industry, including the award-winning Chameleon responsive website platform. Hey, I just want to let you know, when we got back from NADA, we were awarded the Driving Sales Dealer Satisfaction Award for top-rated websites for an unprecedented 6th year in a row. We also took home the AWA Award for Best Websites. Plus, FCA announced that DealerOn is now an approved vendor. 2017 is rocking for us. We're still the only company in the industry that offers a money-back lead guarantee program. Do you want to know more? Yeah, you do. You can check us out at DealerOn.com. We have a great show in store for you today. We're very pleased to have Curtis Nixon as our presenter today. Curtis Nixon is the president and CEO of Update Promise, whose innovative system provides automated status updates that keeps service customers happily engaged and informed throughout the entire process and beyond. This exclusive technology increases customer satisfaction, employee efficiency, brand loyalty, and customer retention, and has subsequently reshaped the entire collision repair industry, setting the gold standard for customer communication and overall consumer experience. Curtis understood the importance of mobile device culture in the service industry, and his invention has since transformed the way consumers interact with businesses and greatly improved the level of service that businesses can provide to their clients. Today, his product helps more than 15,000 automotive rooftops across the U.S. provide superior communication and an unparalleled customer experience. Furthermore, 8 out of the top 10 insurance carriers have mandated the use of his technology. Curtis has over 30 years of experience in the automotive industry and is regarded as an industry-leading professional for consumer engagement and CSI analytics. And he can be reached at curtis@updatepromise.com. Now, during the presentation, if you have any questions, please use the question feature located on the corner of your screen to submit them. At the end of the presentation, we'll answer those questions of general interest. If we're unable to get to your question live, we're going to try to respond by email later today. Don't forget, a link to download a copy of this webinar recording will also be emailed to you later today for your reference, and feel free to share it with your friends and colleagues. And guess what, people? Oh my goodness, our good friends at Update Promise, they have 3 great giveaways on today's webinar. One of you lucky webinar attendees is going to win a golf towel. One more of you is going to win a 3-book set from Chris Collins, all about fixed ops. And then the grand prize, one very lucky attendee is going to win a free 90 days of Update Promise service. That is a $2,500 value, and that is a tremendous prize for your dealership. Now, you have to be on the live broadcast to win any of these cool prizes, though, so stay tuned, and who knows, you might be one of the lucky people walking away with one of these awesome prizes today. Also, at the conclusion of this webinar, you're going to get a short survey, so fill it out. We're always looking for quality feedback from our audience. We want to hear what you have to say. And hey, do you tweet much? We hope you do. We'd love to see what you have to say about today's presentation, so please tag us in it. You can use hashtag DealerOnWebby. I'm at Eliana Raggio. You can also hit up Curtis Nixon at, oh, you guessed it, Curtis Nixon. We look forward to seeing what you're saying. All right, everyone, let's get started. Let's learn the 6 steps to increase your fixed ops CSI. Curtis Nixon, longtime listener, first-time presenter. How the heck are you?
I'm doing well, Eliana. How are you?
I'm doing great as well. Thank you so much for being here today. I cannot stress the importance of this. We have never done this topic before. We've done a lot of fixed ops topics. We've done a lot of, how to increase your customer service kind of topics. But this is a first for us, and so I'm so glad you're here. You apparently are the expert on this topic, so thank you so much for bringing this to our attention, and I'm so looking forward to this. I don't know where to begin, but you can start by telling all the audience members the kinds of great things we're going to be learning about today.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's a great opportunity for us, and yeah, we're going to get into a few different areas today. Our main objectives, and we'll get right into them, are to discuss how are we engaging our customers today? Are we recognizing on the opportunities, and are we listening to the customers and how they want to be engaged throughout the service lifecycle? So we're also going to identify what are the pain points from a customer's perspective, not from our perspective, but really what are the pain points from their perspective. And then we're going to take those principles that we have seen through analytics, and we're going to apply the steps that we know the current process today, what we can transform into the customers of today, and mine those together to ultimately drive improved customer satisfaction and improve our CSI score between the next 30 to 60 days. Last thing, we have some exciting giveaways. We went through those, and we're going to stop, kind of answer some questions, and go over that. So how's that sound, Aliana?
That sounds like a great idea. And I love that you're giving them action items that will give them a swift impact in 30 to 60 days. That's amazing. Where do we go from here?
Awesome. Well, that is the most important thing, because as we go through this so many times, we listen to things, we have ideas, but what can we actually take to the floor and turn things around? So that's what we're really going to focus on. And when we ask the questions, let's make sure that, drive home. If we don't drive that point, communicate with us and let us know.
Yeah.
So where we're going to go from here is, first off, Eliana, I think we've got a poll question.
I think that's a great idea. All right, audience, we want to know something right off the bat. We got 3 poll questions coming your way today. The first one is on your screen right now, and we want to know, how important do you feel Fixed Ops CSI is to the success of your dealership? Please select one of the following answers. Do you think it's super important? It's a difference maker. Do you think it's pretty important? We definitely see it impacting profits. Do you think your CSI is measured but not really top of mind? Do you think, hey, as long as I'm making profit, I really don't care about CSI? Or, what the heck is CSI anyways? If you don't know the answer to that, don't worry. I'm sure our good friend Curtis will be able to tell us what that means. But for right now, we're collecting those votes, and we want to know what you think and how important you feel Fixed Ops CSI is to the success of your dealership. Now, like Curtis said earlier, yes, we're going to get to that Q&A session at the very end of the presentation, so don't be shy. Ask questions. The only dumb question is the one that's never asked. So make sure you ask that question, okay? Curtis, as I can tell you right now, sweet as pie, easy talker. Let me tell you, he'll be able to answer your questions, all right? So get those questions in, and we're looking forward to a nice, robust Q&A session at the end of this presentation. All right, with almost everyone voting, audience is on it today. Thank you so much, everyone. We're going to close this poll, and let's share those results. You ready for this, Curtis?
Absolutely.
All right, here we go. The vast majority, 79% of today's audience, woo, that's a big one. They said super important. Fixed Ops CSI is super important, and it is a difference maker. Absolutely. 9% of today's audience say it's pretty important, and they definitely see it impacting profits. Only 3% of today's audience say that they measure their CSI, but to them, hey, it's not really top of mind. 6% of today's audience say, whatever, as long as I'm making profits, I don't really care about CSI. And then another remaining 3% of today's audience say, what the heck is CSI anyway? So we're going to be counting on you, Curtis, to answer these and other very important questions for us. For right now, I'm going to hide this poll results. And Curtis, is that what you were expecting to see, or what?
That's pretty regular when we get out there, and especially in today's environment. Consumer experiences just, come right to the top end. So to see the overwhelming audience is right where we're at, I think is great, and it aligns with what today's discussion's about.
I agree. Okay, you are going to tell us what CSI is, though, right?
We are a customer service index. How do we measure, and what are the results? Absolutely. So
let's do it.
Why don't we dig right into that? So with that being considered, let's take a look at why customers aren't happy with us. Why did they stop using our service? Well, with that, we'll dig right into the results. And first off, 1%, unfortunately, they pass away.
Oh my God, you put a little... You did not. So you did not put a little gravestone.
Yeah. The next thing is they move away, get other opportunities to transfer, and that's another uncontrollable. But now we get into why they start to drift away from using our services. They get a friend that's providing them a service, especially when we went through the recession, right? Everybody's very cost conscious, looking at what they can do to save money. Another uncontrollable. But as we move forward, now we've got our competitive experience out there, and competitors are getting more aggressive. As we heard on here, customer satisfaction is vitally important to the majority of the audience on this call and to all of our competitors. So they're going to take other ways to lure our customers away from us. But really, when we get down to the nitty-gritty, why do customers stop using us? It comes down to they're dissatisfied with your services. And, that isn't a major percentage. It's still important there. But as a whole, our industry does a good job performing quality repairs. Where we really struggle is, and it's the biggest reason customers stop using us, is customers just don't believe we care. And that's based off the experience that they went through throughout the service lifecycle. So where is the focus? We need to listen and engage our customers and really become a conversational company. Pay attention, listen throughout the service lifecycle and engage them. So customers, not just inside the service and fixed op area, just business with customer service as a whole, they're losing about $62 billion a year based off of poor customer service. 91% of the customers say they will take some sort of aggressive action from a negative experience with your brand. We know the Yelps of the world, the review sites of the world. Auto Body Review has a lot of documentation of how aggressive they will be if we disappoint them throughout that service life cycle. 51% of the customers say they will never use that brand again. That's vitally important. So to hear the audience that we have on the call today have overwhelming responsibility and care about their consumer experience is vitally important. 5% of our customers will say retention can increase their bottom line. So we know if we're improving 5% of our customers' experience, what does that mean to our bottom line? It can improve our bottom line by 75%. So it's vitally important that this topic and this subject is at top of mind and we're making action. So let's dig into it. What is our customers' experience? What are they doing today? Your customers today are making effort to engage with you. How are they doing that? Currently, they're leaving you voicemails. And what happens? Unreturned calls. You're out in the service drive. Are we answering their questions? We have a different consumer today, and they have availability to information at their fingertips. Are we answering and available for them at their fingertips? So currently, we look at it from our service advisor's perspective. We understand the service advisor. They're doing everything they can. You're busy. You've got a busy drive. You've built your business up. You're very, very successful. But what is happening? So from the service writer's perspective, hey, I'm servicing another customer. I'm out there building more business. So they're gathering the tech information about the job. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So they attempt to return phone calls. At that attempting to return phone calls with other customers, a customer's calling in. They're delivering a car to the customer. All great reasons why maybe that consumer experience that they weren't able to service went sideways. We understand all legitimate reasons, but our consumers today have high expectations. So how are we improving this negative experience when a customer is left hanging or we're not available for that customer and isn't getting the best consumer experience? What can we do to change that customer experience? So before we go into those answers, we've got another poll question, Eliana.
Oh, we're getting through these poll questions nice and quick. All right, second poll question is on the screen now, audience. We're ready for you. Now we're getting into the nitty-gritty. How are your service writers currently communicating with your dealership's service customers every day? So we want you to really give us an honest answer on this one. Please select one of the following answers. Do they just use standard phone calls? They pick up the phone and say, hey, Mrs. Smith, we see this is wrong. We're going to replace this, and your car should be ready around 4 p.m. Hey, that's cool. Do you use standard phone calls still? We want to know. Do you use your BDC to call them? Because, your service writers are too busy to make those phone calls, so you make the BDC call them, right? Are your service writers the ones who are maybe using their own personal cell phones and using text? Are they using email mostly or, homing pigeons, whatever, smoke signals? Yep, that's that latest answer over there. Once we get a majority of votes in, we're going to close this poll and share the results. And I see the votes are coming in slowly. So this tells me that they're actually checking with their service writers and taking a poll and seeing how they do it. That's what I think is happening right now. That way, but you know what? I'm okay with that because that means we're going to get an accurate vote on this. So the votes are coming in nice and steady. Audience, you are doing great today. Thank you so much. And don't forget, we're looking forward to answering your questions and helping you improve your Fixed Ops CSI. So ask questions. Send those questions in. Use the questions feature. We're looking forward to helping you out, okay? All right, Curtis, if you don't mind, we have almost everyone voted. Let me close this poll and share the results. You ready, sir?
Absolutely.
Let's do it. Okay. Let's see what this says. Now, ironically, this is not too dissimilar from the results from our last poll question. So here we go. The majority, 79% of today's audience, said that they just use standard phone calls. 79%. Wow. 6% of today's audience say they have their BDC call them. Only 3% of today's audience are using their service writers to do text. Only 3%. 6% of today's audience say they email mostly, and we got smart aleck, last 6% of today's audience say they use homing pigeons. So, Curtis, I know, what shocks me most is that more people are using homing pigeons than text. That hurts. That hurts me to my soul. All right. So
We've got a comical crowd today.
all right, Curtis, now that we got that one out of the way, we got 2 poll questions out of the way. We got one more coming at you a little bit later on, audience, so stay tuned for that. Curtis, back at you. Where are we going from here?
Well, you know what? Based off of those poll questions, I think it leads right into the questions that we're going to ask today. And first off is, how are we dealing with the customer of today? What kind of consumers are we dealing with? They definitely are a different consumer than we dealt with 20 years ago or even 10 years ago. Within the next 3 years, up to 80% of the customer activity is going to be migrated over to a conversational service. What does a conversational service mean? What does it truly mean? It means engaging throughout the service lifecycle. In the past, a consumer would drop off their car, they'd get an update phone call. That's not our consumers today. They want to be engaged through the service lifecycle. They want to feel connected. They want immediate gratification. 70% of the consumers prefer service-based messages sent to their mobile phone. Where do they have this mobile phone? They've got it in their pocket at immediate availability. They want immediate gratification. Today they can jump on Google and pretty much answer any question they have at the fingertips right within them. So you got to think about, how are we engaging the customer of today? By 2018, messaging users will have exceeded 3.8 billion people. If we aren't recognizing that these are different consumers than what we were dealing with in the past, then we're falling behind. And you know, unfortunately, that poll kind of speaks to that, as only very few are actually being conversational through the service lifecycle through the technology that is available to our consumers today. So why is an industry turning to text messaging as a solution to connect with our business and our consumers? Because this is our consumers of today. You know, it used to be that at the dinner table, it was taboo to have your phone even on the table. Today, what's happening? Like the picture on the screen here, they're actually communicating with each other from across the table. 64% of the consumers expect companies to respond and interact with them in real time. You know, it used to be they'd leave a voicemail, you'd call them back, leave a voicemail. That's unacceptable. While 80% of the business buyers expect that they're going to get engagement in immediate time. Recently, from J.D. Power survey, only 3% of all car dealership customers indicated they're receiving text messages. Eliana, I think that's pretty similar to the poll that we did, right?
Very similar, but I'm just going to go, and I'm going to go against what you said. This is a very sad picture. This is a very sad picture.
I totally agree, and I don't disagree with that, right? But the reality is, this is our up-and-coming consumer, and if we don't learn how to connect with that consumer, you know, it's the Generation Y, the Generation X customer that prefers text messages as their primary form of communication. 25% of the baby boomers feel exactly the same thing. So I don't disagree, and we do have that breakdown, but if we don't recognize this is the consumer that we're dealing with, we're going to be struggling at engaging that customer, or our competitors that are engaging the customer in the way they want to be communicated with, they're going to capitalize on that and overcome the obstacle, and we're going to be left behind. Currently, as we polled our clients, we found that 7 out of 10 customers want to have immediate gratification directly at their fingertips. Verification rates for increased responses of validation of offerings, so whether it's an upsell or immediate feedback to engage and ask questions through that service lifecycle, are going to respond through text message. 78% of the customers wish they could have had text conversations with a business. And you need to think about that. Conversations is the key word here. Not just engaging and sending them information, but truly engaging in a conversational manner. The average response through a text message will return in 90 seconds or less. So if we're not communicating with a customer in the way that they want to be communicated with, are we actually listening to our customers of today? Instant gratification, real time. If you wait, more than likely, you're going to lose them. So if the consumers are responding to you, are you available for them and engaging them in the way that they want to be communicated with? Businesses across the nation, they admit they have low visibility into this new technology. Do they have a window into the sentiment of the customer through that service life cycle? Less than 6% really have any technology available, and they say management at a lower level. Even if they have the technology, do they know how to use it during that service life cycle? So are we disconnected with our customers, or do we really have a window into the breadth of that customer through the service life cycle? Are we managing the customers the way that we've always done it for the past 20 years? That really is the question here, Eliano. Are we stepping up and engaging with the customer in a different way? Are we doing things the way we've always done it in the past? Does your management access the customer sentiment during the service life cycle? Do we even know what customer sentiment is from a technology standpoint? Are they happy? Are they sad? Do we know how to integrate that into changes through the service life cycle? Do we know how many units each writer can manage before the point of hitting a failure? That's really important, right? We all have that point of failure. Is it 20 units before all of a sudden the sentiment of the customer starts driving down to a negative experience? Is it 10? Maybe we've got a writer that's performing very well. They're engaged with the customer through the service life cycle, and they can take on 30 customers, but the other writer, he's not able to. Yes, we're always focused on the bottom line, but the point is, are we paying attention to the consumer so we can impact the bottom line in the future? It's vitally important that we know that information, track that information, and determine when are we going to hit the tipping point that's going to drive it into a negative experience. Most service directors wait until a bad survey comes out, and then they're looking in the rear view mirror. By then it's way too long. They've waited too far, and what are they going to do? Do a service recovery? We always want to pay attention after and measure that, but in reality, we need to be engaged and in tune to the consumer experience during the service life cycle. So that's what we're going to talk about, is how are you doing that, and what can we do to take it to the next level? So before we go into some actual results and give you some substance of what you can do differently, Eliana, let's do that next poll question.
Last poll question on the screen now. Audience, this is the one that is really going to help us out, because this is where we might be able to turn this around for you. So we want to know, what is the most common complaint or biggest pain point that you're hearing from service customers, that thing that you keep hearing that's affecting your negative CSI? That is what we want to know. please select one of the following answers. Is it that the customer was not kept informed about the status of the vehicle? Is it that the vehicle was not ready when it was promised? That repairs weren't properly done? That there's no shuttle service provided? Or was it something else silly like the coffee is awful? The air conditioner was on too much, and why did you have to put Jerry Springer on? I much prefer to watch, who's that other guy? You are not the father. Okay, that's not really the point. The point is we want to know what's your biggest complaint that you keep receiving or biggest pain point that you're hearing from service customers that is definitely affecting your CSI. Oh boy, the votes came in nice and quick on this one. And yes, we're looking for the biggest one. So if you have more than one answer, just pick the one that you think you hear the more often than the others, all right? And then we'll close this poll and share the results. And Curtis, wow, wait till you see this. Very interesting. All right, audience, you guys are great. Thank you so much for voting in our poll questions. This is the last poll question today. So we're going to close this poll and share these results. All right, Curtis and audience, here we go. More than half, 53%, said that the customer complains that they're not being kept informed about the status of their vehicle. That's a lot, 53%. 35% of today's audience, so more than a third, said that the vehicle wasn't ready when promised. Again, that goes to keeping the customer informed, right? 6% of today's audience say that repairs are not done properly. 0% said that there was, complaints about the shuttle service. And then, yeah, we have those jokers out there. 6% say that the coffee was yuck. All right. So, Curtis, now that we know this, how do we help dealers improve their CSI?
That's great, Aliana. So digging right into what are we going to do differently, I think is the appropriate thing here. Hearing the results of the polls, we understand it's, we got to dig into what are we going to be doing differently from this point on. So again, going back to the question, are we managing the customer experience the same way we have over the last 20 years? Does management have access to the customer sentiment during the service lifecycle? And what technology are we using? Do we know how many units each writer can manage until the consumer starts to feel the employee becoming overwhelmed? Also, we're going to dig into and ask some questions. What is your SOP for managing the consumer experience? Do we have a service recovery process that's automated, that's going to help us change the way that we've been doing things the last 20 years? Do we measure the results of that service recovery? Many times I discuss with dealerships and say, how do you manage a negative experience? Well, we've got a BDC. Beautiful. So they're doing a follow-up, but do we measure the results of that follow-up? Do we know, are we going to share those results directly back? Are we trying to just do a service recovery? Handle that one customer at a time, which is vitally important. But if we continue to do the same thing over and over again, what accountability are we really sharing back to our service writers? We shouldn't expect different results if we're just going to continue to do the same thing. So we need to hold our team accountable to repeated offenses, change the way we're doing things, coach them. Get them to recognize these are the results, and we're continuing to see these patterns. What are we going to do differently through an automated process, measure those results, and drive execution to a higher standard? Some of the results that we've recognized and what we've studied, we're going to display some resources on the screen here. So understanding how appointments destroy survey scores. We're going to talk about that. Appointments is one area. Are we setting appointments for customers? Eliana, I'm going to ask you, when you go for an appointment to have your hair done, do you expect that you're going to wait in a line to be serviced?
Well, no. I mean, if you make a 2 o'clock appointment, they better take you within 10 minutes of that 2 o'clock. You got things to do.
And if your hairstylist is servicing someone else, are you going to be disappointed in that?
I would, but if they come and they say, hey, I'm going to be right with you, just let me finish this up. I mean, I try and be patient. I try.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're we're going to talk about as we go forward how J.D. Powers has told us we need to set the proper expectation. So even starting from the original, is setting an appointment the proper expectation, or is scheduling them to check in their vehicle and then explaining that check-in process up front? So we're setting the proper expectation so they know that they're going to have a little bit of wait time, what to take out of their vehicle, what to do next, and we need to do that in a way that's what they expect. Texting them ahead of time, confirming that appointment, setting that expectation, and starting that engagement right from the beginning is vitally important. We're going to go into also the other action items. So listening to the customer. So when we did schedule them to check in and we actually service them and they show up at the drive, are we engaging them with a conversation? Or are we so busy with anxiety because we had walk-ins come in, which we've got to service and we got to take the time. But are we recognizing that we did set an expectation, and are we engaging them? Are we recognizing them in the drive? Are we paying attention to their specific needs? Don't schedule appointments. Instead, schedule a time for the consumer to arrive for their vehicle to be checked in. Train your team to set the proper expectation of what the consumer should expect upon arriving, and set realistic expectations. Why do we set appointments for customers, yet walk-in clients get the same service as those that made an appointment? Eliana, again, to the point of your having your hair done. If you scheduled an appointment and a woman walked in right next to you and said, "Can you take me in?" and she goes right into a chair, how's that going to make you feel?
Oh, that would make me so angry.
Wouldn't it? Well, the same thing happens on our service drive. And are we setting the wrong expectation, and are we delivering the wrong way on that expectation? Have your greeters provide customers who schedule a check-in maybe with a slightly different experience. Those that have a check-in, maybe a board that has their name on it, or maybe it's a separate podium for if you have an appointment, check in here. Whatever it may be, is change the experience, provide an engagement that is proactive right from the beginning. Then once we get them in and we've got them checked in, we need to set realistic expectations. Many times the service writers will just give an expectation. Thank you for checking in. We will be calling you in a couple hours, or we'll have your vehicle scheduled for delivery by the end of the day. Are we loosely throwing that out, or are we setting realistic expectations? Nothing upsets a customer more than when you make a promise and miss that promise. So it's vitally important that if we're going to throw out a commitment or a promise or an expectation, are we meeting that expectation? A consumer that has been given an expectation or a promise, they will accept that if you're not going to meet that expectation, not a problem. Things go wrong. They understand. They're human like you and I. But are we communicating as soon as we know that we're going to miss that expectation? Are we engaging them in real time? Are we going to reset the expectation with another accurate expectation? Are we going to just go in, realize that we're going to miss that expectation, and then again just pacify them and kick the can down the road until we're going to disappoint them again? We can't do that. Consumers want honesty, they want integrity, and they want trust. And that goes back to engaging them and getting involved with them. Don't just treat them as just another repair order. Treat them as a human being. And communicating with them, engaging them through that service life cycle is vitally important. Are we taking advantage of technology to engage them when you are stuck on the drive? Do we have automated proactive communication going out to the customer, keeping them informed, relieving that anxiety? They're very much just like us. They're on calls, they're on webinars just like this, but in the back of their mind they're going, I need to get out there because I was told my car is going to be ready at 4 o'clock. If we're changing their anxiety level and proactively communicating to them, they can forget about that expectation because they trust you and proactively engage them, and they can get back to focusing on whatever they're doing at that point. Again, but if we're going to miss that expectation, the next time, set a realistic expectation. Studies show from our statistics that if we miss an expectation, we will have a slight drop in overall customer satisfaction, but the more that we miss it again and again, we're losing their trust. So my question is, do we have the system, the window into the sentiment of the customer? Are we using the technology that's available to us and what the consumers are preferring to be communicated with? And are we measuring everything? The one thing that we know is bad behavior, continued bad behavior, will lend to a predictable outcome. We need to take the technology and we need to use those statistics that are at our fingertips, recognize the negative behavior, stop doing that, and modify that behavior to the positive experience. But again, do we have the technology available to us? Today we do. So as a business, by not taking advantage of it, what are we going to do, or what are we telling our customers? We're telling them they don't matter. If we're going to take ourselves to the next level, are we using an automated communication platform that integrates into the daily behaviors that we're doing today? When we open up a repair order, are we proactively saying thank you to the customer? You know, we're so busy opening up a ton of repair orders to make that dollar. Are we forgetting to recognize there's a human element here? Even if they're busy and they're taking off or they're going to make a phone call, we can automatically communicate to the customer in the way that they like. A quick text saying thank you goes a long way. It also opens up the opportunity for them to go, you know what, I intended to tell you 5 things on the drop-off, and I only told you 3 because I had to grab that phone or I had to rush to drop off my daughter. So are we opening up and becoming a conversational business using the technology that our consumers are using today? The next thing are we proactively communicating with them in the means that's easy for them to absorb and connect? So if we're going to miss an expectation, if we're going to make an upsell or let them know that something's gone wrong or you've discovered something and offer it to them, are you leaving a voicemail to them and waiting for them to call back? By then the service is already done and they'll come into the drive and go, you know what, I'll just do those extra things later. Or are we providing them technology where they can quickly look at their phone, see what the problem is, and tell you, go ahead and proceed with that. Get that done as quickly as possible. Again, I'm going to reiterate, 90 seconds, a consumer will respond back to a text message or an email on their smartphone. Are we taking advantage of that, and are we providing it at the fingertips of our customer? Last thing, measuring the sentiment through the customer experience. Do we have technology available for our managers to recognize when the consumer is going sideways? The experience has obviously gone some other direction, or are our riders hoarding that information? You don't know when they leave a voicemail and they complain. The only person who knows that is the one person who answers that voicemail. Today's technology can provide that two-way communication, measure the sentiment of the customer, and when it drops below an acceptable level, alert the management team. If it drops below to a certain degree that maybe the GM needs to know, or, you know what, unfortunately they start cussing or swearing, do we need that hoarded by the writer and retained there? Or does the owner of the operation or a regional need to get engaged? So are we using technology in that manner? It's available at our fingertips. And today's business and service fixed ops, are we really taking advantage of everything that is available to us today? So we need to look at what are the platforms we're on today, what is available, and are we measuring that and changing the behaviors to provide predictable results going forward? We know how important those OEM surveys are, and making sure that we're making a 1 or 2 point change can definitely deliver favorable results to our bottom line. I was with the dealership yesterday and they said they're right on the borderline of executing on that CSI. They've got $250,000 on the line. Is one customer feedback going to make the difference for that $250,000? Well, it is if you don't know that feedback. If your writers are hoarding that and you don't have access to the sentiment of the customer through that service life cycle, it can mean the difference from a lot, hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line by 1 or 2 points, or even 1/10 of a point is what we're talking about today. So as we go through, I want to recap. Set the expectation properly on drop-off. Listen to your customer. Engage your customer properly. Identify what their needs are and set the expectation properly. Through that service life cycle, if we're going to set a promise date or give a promise time, let's make sure we meet it or do everything possible to meet it. Get your team encouraged and everybody has visibility of what that expectation is. And when it's going to be missed, let's communicate in real time immediately to the customer and then measure everything, not just after the repair, but measure it throughout the service life cycle. And when we reset that consumer experience or expectation, everybody in the room needs to know we've dropped the ball, we've reset it, and we're going to recover. And when we measure everything, let's develop a process that is consistent. It is measurable and reportable to what are we doing to recover that customer and turn them around, and then communicate those measurements on an ongoing basis. Sit down, read the results, not just the results of the CSI, the results of the service recovery. What were the bad common behaviors that led to a negative customer experience?
And would you do that? Would you do that like you get all the service writers together and say, hey, we had this negative experience. I want to discuss this, and going forward, this is how we would do it?
And what are the patterns? And discussing that. If we know Joe is constantly getting feedback that says he's not answering or picking up his phone or responding to the text messages and the engagement, what are we going to do to change that? I always go to, let's recognize the positives, identify what are our positive writers doing, what are our exceptional writers doing, and then let's coach those that are struggling to a better success. If we can do that, go through those 6 steps, that extra few points is going to add $250,000 to this dealer I visited with yesterday. It'll make a huge impact and long-term effect. Net Promoter Score is vitally important. Are your consumers so elated with the consumer experience and the engagement and the conversation and making them feel like a person that they're going to refer their friends and family? So that's an important thing with those 6 steps that we should take away from here. And you can start making changes tomorrow by those 6 steps that within 30 to 90 days, you're going to see significant improvements. Ileana, I think we've got a giveaway as well, right?
I think this was something that you were offering to everyone on the show. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So as a token of our appreciation for everybody getting on the call today, we greatly appreciate it. And thank you for engaging with the polls. We'd like to give each one of the attendees today one of our mugs. It's branded Update Promise. It's a coffee mug, tumbler. And if you'll go on the URL we've got posted here on the screen, fill out your information, we will send you one of those complimentary Update Promise tumblers.
Can I get one? They're awfully pretty.
Already in the middle. So, Ileana, maybe it would be a good time to go ahead and open up for some questions.
Yeah, maybe it will. All right, audience. I know we hit you with a bunch of information. Now it's time for us to have a conversation about everything that Curtis just threw at us. So send some questions in. Send us, even if something specific happened at your dealership and you want to discuss it, let's do that. All right, so send us that information so we can help you improve your Fixed Ops CSI. All right, I have some questions too. We're going to get to those in just a minute. So I'm going to give you some time, go into the questions section and fill out that question and send it over, okay? Before we go any further though, I do want to direct your attention over to the handouts section of the GoToWebinar interface. In there you're going to find a really cool handout. Yeah, it's Curtis's slide deck from today. So if you'd like your own copy of today's slide deck, you can go there until the very end of this broadcast. It's available for immediate download. Again, look on your GoToWebinar interface, look for the word handouts. Click on the little triangle just next to it. It'll open up, and there you'll be able to download Curtis's slide deck from today. All right. Now, before we go any further, I'm so excited about this. Now, yes, everyone is available to go to that link that was on the previous slide and go get yourself one of those cool tumblers. I'm going to do it a little bit after the show, but we have some other prizes for you guys today. So, Curtis, you're more than welcome to turn on your webcam now if you'd like, sir. Okay, so if you were here at the beginning of the webinar, you can go to the next slide as well, sir. I announced that our good friends over at Update Promise have a great giveaway on today's webinar. One of you lucky webinar attendees is going to win a golf towel. One of you is going to win a 3-book set from Chris Collins, all about fixed ops, which amazing books. And one very lucky attendee is going to win a free 90 days of Update Promise service valued at $2,500. Tremendous prize for your dealership. Certainly a tremendous prize for your dealership's fixed ops department. Okay, now, if you are a vendor, we love having you on the DealerOn webinars. Always do, and you're always welcome to come. But we're going to ask you to kindly sit this one out. These prizes are intended for dealership personnel only. All right, everyone, get to your keyboards. Get those fingers nice and nimble. Here we go. Good luck, everyone. And this is for the golf towel, by the way. We're giving away the golf towel first. This is for the golf towel. Good luck, everyone. According to a recent study from Vibes, 70% of consumers today prefer service-based messages sent to their what? Mobile phone. Lydia Hosing, you got it right. Lydia, congratulations. You are today's first winner. Lydia Hosing. I hope I said that last name right. It looks like Hosing. Yes, mobile phone, mobile device, phone. Yes, we would have accepted any of those. Oh, it's hazing. Oh, I'm totally messing that up. Sorry, Lydia. But you know what? Let me know what dealership you're from so I can give you a proper congratulations, of course. And you, my friend, are our winner. You're going to be getting that cool golf towel from our good friends over at Update Promise as soon as they can get it in the mail. Oh, you know what else I need from you, Lydia? Oh, Lydia is from Prairie Hills Ford. Congratulations, Lydia. While you're at it, send me a mailing address so we can get this out to you as quickly as we can. All right? All right, Lydia, you're already a winner, my friend. You can sit the rest of this little contest out. I'm talking to the rest of you, audience. You got 2 more chances to win some really cool prizes. Now we're going to give away the Chris Collins trio of fixed ops books. If you haven't read these or heard of them, let me tell you, really, really great books. And I thank Curtis for bringing these out because if you are in fixed ops, I mean, this is like the new and old and newer testament for fixed ops. I totally screwed that up. But hey, let me tell you something. You want these books, all right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's why we brought it forward. You know, Chris does a great job in really focusing on the consumer experience and digging into what it takes to take it to the next level. So, you know, we support Chris. He's a good friend of ours, and we like what he does out there.
Okay. All right. So this next prize is for this 3-book giveaway. Here we go. Good luck, everyone. What is the #1 reason customers stop using your service? Oh, I remember that chart. That's right, Tim Vernier. They think we don't care. Tim Vernier, you are the first person to win. Tim, I don't think I've ever seen your name come up on a prize winner. Are you a first-time DealerOn prize winner? Write back in and let me know. Tim. And by the way, what dealership are you from? Tim, congratulations. Yes. The answer to the question, well, the question is, what's the number one reason customers stop using your service? Customers believe you don't care about them. Congratulations. So Tim, I'm waiting for you. Where are you from, my friend? Come on, Tim, right back. Tim, here we go. Oh, Brenningen Auto Group, first-time prize winner. What? Yep. West
Congrats.
Salem, Wisconsin. Congratulations, Tim. I am going to need your mailing address, of course, so we can get that 3-book gift set out to you as quickly as possible. Like I said, they're going to be coming to you directly from our good friends over at Update Promise. Tim, congratulations. First-time winner. We love those too, right? All right, Lydia and Tim, already big winners today. Guess what? We got one more amazing prize. Now, this is for a free 90 days of Update Promise service. And just so you know, that Update Promise service, it's an automated texting service that keeps the customer updated throughout the time that their car is getting serviced. Is that correct, Curtis? I hope I did that justice.
Yeah, it's an automated engagement to fill the gaps for the customer in between when the writer is out there doing other items. But it also allows for the personal engagement. So it's the best of both worlds, allowing the customer to have that communication and contact available to the writer at their fingertips, at their desktop, their mobile phone, at their email, wherever it's most convenient for the writer and for the consumer, providing that connectivity.
Okay, and let me just tell you, this is no slouch of a prize. This is 90 days, so 3 months of this incredible service, which is, I mean, it only takes you 90 days to, make a huge difference into your Fixed Ops CSI. This is a $2,500 value. This is a tremendous prize for your dealership. So I want to wish everyone the very best of luck on winning this, okay? First person to answer this question correctly is going to be walking away with this prize. Nice try, Ben. Ben is trying to guess what the question is. That's not the answer. All right, here we go. Good luck, everyone. According to a recent survey by textrequest.com, what is the average response time for a text message? Woo! That's right, 90 seconds. Oh my gosh, everyone's trying to win this. Damon Egan, you are today's winner. Congratulations, Damon Egan. Yes, it was 90 seconds is the average response time for a text message. Damon Egan, look at you. Sherwood, Ford, Edmonton, I don't know what AB is, Canada. Oh, Alberta, that's it. That's it. Sherwood, Ford, Edmonton, Canada. You can do this in Canada, right, Curtis?
Unfortunately, our service isn't available in Canada, and I didn't expect
No.
anybody to be on the call in Canada.
No. Are you serious?
I am not in Canada yet. They do have some additional texting laws up there, and so crossing the borders become a little bit of a challenge. We are going to be moving in there soon, but it's a little more complicated. So, you know what? No worries, Ileana. We will definitely engage him, and we'll do something special for him differently. And I have some people I can put him in contact with up in that area. I don't know. Do we want to kind of take the next contestant, or what? We'll take it from here.
I mean, I would still love to give away the prize. I'm so sorry, Damon. I didn't know that they weren't in Canada either. But texting is a hot issue right now, and there's a lot of regulations that are coming down the pike. So, okay, thank you, Damon. You're so kind and generous. Damon just said, please give it to the next person. So, Curtis, I'm going to count on you to do something very, very nice for Damon. He's being so gentlemanly about this, okay?
Absolutely. That was very, very nice. And sorry about that. I wish we were moving that quick. We have about 18,000 businesses using our system today, but unfortunately, we haven't moved into Canada. So, luck would have it on my side, right? I guess maybe that's telling me where I need to be tomorrow.
Oh yeah, the Canadian car dealers, they're all over the technology. They love technology. Okay, well, Damon, thank you so much for being such a gentleman. Damon, everyone, again, from Sherwood, Ford, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, is turning this over. So the next person on the list who answered the question correctly is Trista Hayes. Trista Hayes, congratulations. Yes, it was 90 seconds. She was the person right behind Damon Egan to answer that question. Trista Hayes, you just won it for your dealership. Thank you so much. Trista, I hope you can tell me what dealership you're from. Trista hasn't written in yet, so hopefully Trista writes in soon. Damon, thank you so much. I'm so sorry. Oh, here we go. Trista Hayes. She says, yay, Rusty Wallace Cadillac GMC Kia in Morristown, Tennessee. You cover Tennessee, right, Curtis?
We do. We have many clients in Tennessee.
Trista, thank you so much. Trista, please send Damon over at Sherwood Ford Edmonton, Canada. Thank you, because you just won yourself a $2,500 prize for your dealership. And our good friends at Update Promise, all those prizes are going to be coming directly from them. Thank you so much. So thank you for playing along, everyone. I know we had 3 great prizes today. And you know what? Come on back to another DealerOn webinar. And who knows, that could be the day you win a really cool prize, right? For right now, we're going to congratulate Lindia Hazing, Tim Vernier, and Trista Hayes, with special mention to Damon Egan. Thanks, everyone, for playing along. Huge congratulations to today's winner. And, of course, we want to thank our good friends over at Update Promise for their incredible generosity. All right, Curtis, we got some great questions from the audience. Are you ready, sir?
We are.
All right. As a matter of fact, our very first question is from the big winner today, Trista Hayes, actually. So you can go to the next slide so that everyone has your contact information. All right, there we go. All right, Trista, you're still on. I know you are. All right, so Trista says, the customers that choose to wait while their vehicle gets serviced, what's the best way to keep them informed? Our service writers are too busy to keep them informed every 30 minutes, but we're getting negative CSI reports on keeping them informed of status on vehicles, even for customers that are waiting right there at our dealership. Do you think we should be texting customers that are waiting with us in our dealership waiting room?
You know, this, Eliana, this is a great question. We get this frequently. The immediate response is, you know what, they're waiters. I don't want to open up text engagement to the customer. But, you know, what I advise my service managers and service directors is look outside your window and what are your customers doing in that waiting room? They're sitting in those chairs and they're texting their friends, their family, their children, their grandchildren. So when we say, hey, it's a waiter, it's not that much time, yes, we don't need to send automated status updates necessarily, but do we need to engage them personally in the way that they're sitting there in their chair communicating? Absolutely. So what we find is the first thing we need to do is when we open up that repair order and they've walked away from your desk, frequently, sometimes we don't mean to, but it does happen. We may get a little anxious because they're so busy in the drive. So sending that automated first message, saying thank you, giving them the opportunity of a way to opt out of future text messages is the first area of opening engagement. The statistics also say when they get back to their chair, even on a waiter, again, they came in, their husband told them, hey, there's 3 items over here. They knew 2 items, but when they came into the drive, all that anxiety was happening in the drive, and they got a little anxious and worried and stressed, and they said, you know what, can I just get my oil changed? Or possibly could you look at this item? Well, they really had a list of 5 things to go through, but because of the anxiety and the activity in the service drive, they only told you 2. But when they get back into their chair and they sit down, they want that open line of communication. So when you send that first message to them, thanking them, what we see is the most responses come back on those waiters of saying, oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you, my windshield wipers have been having a problem. Think about this. How many waiters do you perform monthly? If you can get 10% of those waiters to tell you that they want their windshield wipers to be serviced, what does that add up to on the bottom line? I know windshield wipers are pretty profitable. They take just a few minutes to install, and we're able to charge for that pretty quickly. So, you know, engaging the customer appropriately through every experience that's unique to that customer is vitally important. And that's also recognizing, hey, they're an hour waiter Do we need to send them status updates? But no, but do we need to engage them at the appropriate time? Yes. So they came in for an oil change, we get it pulled down, we do the MPI, we inspect it, we identify something else, send them a response and say, hey, we've identified you're having a problem with your timing belt. It's about time for us to engage that. And they're going to be looking at Facebook. They're going to be engaging with their customers and respond back immediately. So I would say, yes, we do want to engage our customers with the technology that they're using. Just look outside and look at your waiting room and what are they doing? That's how we need to engage them.
All right. All right. Just so you know, Trista, great question. Thank you very much, by the way. Longtime listener, Sharpie, he just wrote in, well, I was just about to disagree and say that if there's a waiter there, they should just be handled in person. But Curtis just brought up a fantastic point about giving them another opportunity to have more done and in an easier way. He just changed my mind. So thank you very much. All right, great.
I have one more area, and this was based off of statistics that we had. Consumers, when they're waiting for their waiter an hour or so, they get a little anxious in the drive. Yes, you've got the TV on, you have a coffee, but what do we want them to do? You want them to feel comfortable enough and connected enough that they can cruise your inventory. Where if they feel like, you know what, I need to sit in this chair and I can't leave because I'm going to be waiting for them to come out and tell me my car's ready, well, then they're not taking advantage of all that inventory we have on our floor. That flooring's expensive. We all know that. So if we provide them that connectivity, all of a sudden they can cruise a lot and know they're going to get that text message. You know, the over the loudspeaker doesn't always work effectively. So if we're communicating in the technology that they have at their fingertips, it gives them that relief of anxiety, allows them to go out there, and you might actually just sell them a car.
What? Sell them a car?
Yeah. Well, listen, I just had a documented experience. We had a Lexus dealership join our service. Within 48 hours, they had over $5,800 of upsells. And they had a waiter that was cruising the inventory and responded back and said, you know what, I really like this new Lexus. My payment is $660. If you can send out someone to engage me here, I might not have that service done. Can you stop? I think I might not want to get a new car. And we had that documented through the consumer experience, through our messaging and documentation center, recognizing the engagement, immediate response. Within a couple hours, guess what? They were into a brand new Lexus. Now tell me, that waiter, do you want to be connected through text messaging? Absolutely.
So Sharpie wrote back and he's like, holy moly, another great point. This guy is amazing. I told you. Thanks, Sharpie.
Actually, our customers are amazing in the feedback that they give us using the technology.
Well,
but
now,
thank you.
This brings up an interesting point. Okay, so, you know, in our first, you know, poll question, I think we asked, you know, hey, what do you think about CSI? And then in the second poll question, we said, well, how are you connecting, how are your service writers connecting with their customers, you know? And not a lot of people said texting. I think it was like 3% or something. It was like, yeah, it was less than the homing pigeons, right? But then we found out that 80% of people like texting. And then we also found out that over 70% of people want businesses to engage them in texting. So why aren't dealerships doing it? So my question is, for those service writers who are using their own phone and texting to customers, that stuff's not going into the CRM, is it?
You know, that's vitally important. You know, there's a lot of rules and regulation about proper engagement, and when our employees are using their personal cell phones, first off, management doesn't have access to that engagement. Was it appropriate? Were we recognizing if a consumer said, stop texting me, did we recognize their request to opt out? There's a lot of rules and regulations about that. So if we are not using the proper platform that documents that through the service lifecycle, recognizes with a natural language process to really truly understand the engagement, you hit it right on the nose. It's not the most appropriate, nor is it the safest for the business. We could be opening ourselves up to a huge exposure. You know, customers, we have to comply by the FCC and the TCPA rules and regulations. And when they reply stop, we must recognize that. Unfortunately, not every customer reads and replies stop. They're engaged in a conversation and they may reply back with, hey, I prefer to get an email, or could you call me instead? We need to recognize that as a stop and opt them out. And if we don't, there's major consequences. So having our employees just pick up and use their own personal phone, or even issuing them a company phone, we don't have that window in the customer experience to truly measure the consumer sentiment, have the opportunity to have a window into that engagement, and we could be opening up some huge exposure. So we have to be very careful here. But when done properly, not a problem at all. We can execute on that, and when you're aligned with the right company that's been doing that. We communicated with 15 million customers last year, and we have full-time lobbyists that are engaged in the new rules and regulations with our own in-house technology downstairs to know we need to continue to develop the technology to recognize the consumers and meet the proper regulations that are out there. They're changing every year. And if we don't stay in tune with that, and they could really expose us. But again, going back to the point, this is our customer. When we do it properly, 3% is really sad. We entered in through the collision repair industry back inside 2011. Today I have over 10,000 collision centers on our system. They recognized it. When we got up to about 10,000, there were about 3,000 dealers that said, wait, shouldn't we be doing this as well? And so we're a little behind the times, but it's coming quick and it's available for you so you can take it to the next level.
Okay, a couple comments. Trista, the one who initially asked the question, she says, FYI, we average about 10 to 15 service buybacks a month, customers trading or buying while they are in service. So yeah, we want them to roam on the floor. So thank you so much for that, Trista. And then our friend Damon up north in Alberta, Canada, he says, we as an industry use antiquated techniques for customer engagement. We need to think out of the box and look to the leaders, for instance, Starbucks, the Ritz-Carlton, etc. The industry is changing and we need to change with it. Couldn't be said any better, my dear friend. Thank you, sir.
Great point. Great point. Think about it. If you go to book a flight, how are you booking that? You're booking that on the smartphone. They're confirming your booking, as well as if there's a delay, they're sending you a text message. Yet our dealers aren't communicating in the same way, but the technology is available.
I love that now they're sending your boarding passes to your phone, so you don't have to futz with paper. Oh my gosh. I mean, everything is through the phone. Who knew that a phone would replace a camera and a printer and a fax machine and a laptop sometimes? I mean, it's amazing what our phones can do now. And it's true. I mean, I don't even go to the bathroom without my phone now. I am really in love with my phone. I love my phone. I know you do too. Guess what? Other people love their phones as well. All right. A couple other things and then we'll start closing out the show. Rocky, I like your name, Rocky. Rocky wrote in and he says, my name is Rocky. I'm a BDC service manager. And he wanted to comment about how overall they're doing things at their dealership. And they just want to know, Rocky wants to know, what is the first thing that you think could be tweaked so that they could be doing better? What's the first thing they should be doing?
First off, I think that they should be listening to their customers and documenting and reporting on what are the negative behaviors and what is the feedback to the customer. Now, again, a BDC is usually doing after the fact, but are we documenting what are the behaviors that lend to a negative customer experience? Then the next thing is, what are we doing with that information? Are we changing the behaviors? Are we recognizing based off of the feedback? You know, a lot of the feedback that's saying, hey, I left a voicemail, I didn't hear back, I was left unknown. They told me my car was going to be ready at this point and then it was ready over here. Are we taking that information, documenting it, sharing it with our team, and then starting to come up with an action plan? A service recovery process isn't just measuring and listening. It is truly coming up with an action plan to execute of what we're going to change.
Okay.
When we rolled out in the collision industry, We had Farmers Insurance that came to us and said, we're already measuring customer satisfaction. What can we do differently? Well, we can engage our customer differently, and we can measure and have an action plan on every negative experience. As a result, we moved Farmers' Net Promoter Score almost 17%. Phenomenal. One of the highest in the industry for many years. So are we taking that same action and big business data analytics, and are we applying it to our business? I think that's the first thing we can do is listen, document, and execute.
Okay, so first thing you would tell them to do is go check out their CSI and what the customers have been saying. Then you want them to have like a group meeting and say, okay, these are what we've been hearing. Now we got to come up with a plan on how to change customers' perception of us. Yes?
Absolutely, yes. And apply a system that allows you the window into that customer feedback before the service is done. You know, yes, it's great that we follow up, we measure, but by then it's too late. Do we have a window into the sentiment of the customer? Are we connecting? Are we measuring that conversation? So not just communicating, but are we truly measuring that communication through that service lifecycle to produce actionable results, actionable information? So if we recognize Bob has just got overwhelmed, it's starting to impact the consumer experience, do we just let Bob take another RO, or do we say, time out, your consumer sentiment is drifting in the wrong direction, Bob. We're going to move some of the work or the next 10 ROs over to Mary and Joanne. We need to be engaged into the conversation of the customer. I say this again and again. We need to become a conversational expert within our consumer experience. We aren't just measuring the success after. It's starting the measurement and the engagement during.
Right. Okay, so let me ask you this. How often should we be checking these comments from the customers? Is it like a weekly thing, a monthly thing, a quarterly thing? How often are we doing this?
It should be, we should be engaged with a system that gives us immediate action, because service life cycles are so short on the service fixed ops side. A little different than collision. We have a little longer life cycle. The average repair is between 7 to 12 days. The service, it's under 4 hours average repair.
Right.
So if we are not in tune to the conversation and having a measurement to alert us when a customer goes sideways, waiting till the end of the day might be too late. We may have already damaged that consumer's experience, and they will never, ever come back. We get one chance at a customer to make a great impression, or one chance to really disappoint them.
Boom. All right. Rocky says we're already disappointing them with our coffee. Yuck. All right.
Change the coffee.
It's the coffee. All right. Last question. Here we go. This one comes in from Chuck. Chuck says, what's the biggest reason or objection or excuse that a body shop or a dealer service manager might tell you for not signing up with this technology that you have from Update Promise?
I would say it would be just change, right? We're fearful
change
of
is
change.
scary, Curtis. I know.
I heard a comment the other day, change is a 4-letter word. It kind of threw me off there. Wait, no, it isn't, but I got what he was saying, right? It's that scary. We've been doing this. We have many experts. We have new people. We have old people in our drive that have been doing this. They're the experts. To come to them and say, we need to change our behavior, apply new technology, the first thing we hear is, time out, I'm good. I like to personalize and connect with my customers. Really? Because are you recognizing that your customers want to be communicated and connected with using technology? Again, look to the waiting room. Service advisor, do they want direct engagement, or where are they? They're using technology. So I think the biggest thing that we get pushback is change. And then automation. They feel a little out of control when we have a system that is engaging and filling the gaps. Mm-hmm. So we need to go to train, educate them through that process so they understand the system. Don't just absorb a system, put it in and go. Make sure that you have a vendor or a partner that is going to continually be engaged with you. When you get new writers, they're at your fingertips, that they're going to help to provide that attention to train that new writer. Someone else comes in. Because if we don't use technology properly, it can be scary, and it can actually damage the online reputation when they're going to start broadcasting the negativity. So customers are very sensitive of how they're being handled. They don't want to be treated like they don't matter. So again, I think the first thing you need to do is accept that change is hard. We call it the J curve. If we continue doing what we've always done, we're going to get the same results. When we jump off the fence, it's a little scary, and we may even have a little bit of negative right up front. But if we push through it and recognize we're going to go to the pinnacle of success, we're going to end up much higher than we've ever been.
Curtis Nixon. I love it. Thank you so much, sir. You have been a pleasure to broadcast with today.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, great industry. I really love it.
Oh, Curtis, I wish you the very best of luck. Looking forward to seeing you expand your horizons into Canada. All right. Thank you so much, sir. Continued success, my friend. Awesome presentation. I want to remind the audience a link to download a copy of today's webinar recording is going to be emailed to you later today for your reference. Feel free to share it with your friends and colleagues. This is a great presentation. Today's webinar is also going to be posted online within 24 hours. Just go to dealeron.com/webinars to view our upcoming webinar schedule or access any of our past webinars too. And hey, this webinar is going to conclude in just a moment. And when it does, you're going to get a short survey, real short. It's 3 questions. That's all. So we're going to ask you to please fill it out. We're always looking for quality feedback from our audience. We want to know what you thought of today's presentation. So please fill out that survey. And invitations will be going out tomorrow for our next DealerOn webinar, From Inbound to Opportunity, how to maximize your inbound call handling. We all know that consumers are increasingly turning to cell phones for research and engagement. Mobile search and click-to-call technology enable consumers to dial directly from Google, and dealerships across the nation are experiencing an influx of inbound calls as a result. However, according to a recent IHS automotive analysis, over 84% of a dealership's inbound sales calls are not converted to a sale. That 84% of calls don't turn into a sale. That is a staggering number of unrealized opportunities. With competition at an all-time high and sales margins tightening more and more each month, no dealership can afford to ignore their inbound call handling. It's time to reclaim lost sales. Join this eye-opening 1-hour webinar as industry expert Bill Wittenmeyer of eLead1 will share strategies to improve inbound call handling performance and convert valuable phone leads into appointments. Attendees will learn tried and true inbound strategies for handling calls effectively, proven professional communication skills that build trust with callers, and so much more. If you're ready to maximize those inbound calls and turn them into strong opportunities, then this is a must-see presentation you just can't afford to miss. So register now. And don't forget, DealerOn's weekly webinars are held Thursdays, 12 noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions regarding our webinars and our topics, feel free to contact me directly. Again, my name is Eliana Raggio, and I'd love to hear from you. You can track me down online. I'm everywhere. Facebook, Twitter, Google+, you name it. I'm on every automotive social network. Or you know what? You can just email me directly at eliana@dealeron.com. Thank you all so very much for spending this time with us today, and I hope to see you all on another webinar in DealerOn's continuing education series. Take care, everyone. Thanks so much.